What I do is show you how to make food from expensive fancy restaurants easily at home and get an authentic taste. And I'll try and do it as simply and as quickly as I can, or as simply as I can, but I won't drag it out either. So there's just whatever vegetables you want cooking away. This is a chicken leg and thigh, but I've used one of those to cut. I've totally removed my hand so I couldn't hit my hand, and I cut it. I mean, you wouldn't want to get into that, I suppose. It's the first time I've ever actually done it. But I'm trying to cook with the meat on the bone because there's more flavour and stuff going on. And I had it. So instead of just 2 pieces, I thought I would try and portion it up. And that's what I've done there. And I think that's how the Chinese and other people do it. So there we go. But you could just use, you know, chicken pieces, whatever. Getting a bit of charring going on. I've turned the heat down a little bit because I'm doing the video. But charring's okay. I did have it up high, but charring's okay, you know. So that's all good. What I'm gonna do now is pour these blokes into a separate bowl because there's not enough room for me to cook the chicken as well. And I'm making, see that charring? That's okay. There's not enough room for me. I'm going to make a lot, and I'm going to do some frozen dinners. I'm going to freeze some of this down. So that's why I'm doing a fair bit. It's only me, but there'll be extra meals, so I can just pull them out in a couple of months from now if I want to. Alright, turn the heat back up. And then goes the thigh. Heat's up full bore. And I'm going to brown this. The reason I'm going to brown it is because I want the chicken to have a bit of colour. I want the chicken to have a bit of colour in the dish. If I didn't want it to have colour, I could simply drop the chicken in at a later stage. But I want colour, so that's why I'm doing that. So all we're going to do is, not that one. All we're going to do is, this is the theme, Thai yellow curry paste. It's going to end up being Thai yellow curry. I've got this as an experiment. Maybe I'll put a little bit in, but in theory I don't need to do anything else other than use this. I don't need to add curry or anything. And you'll see, you know, at the grocery store, there's jars of heaps of different types of themes. All you got to do is buy the jar of the theme you like. This lasts forever in the fridge. You take a spoon or 2 out, always a lot less than what they say because it's too strong and overwhelming. And you put a bit in with your meat and veggies. That's all I'm going to do here. I'm going to put a bit of this in with the veggies, this, and coconut cream. Here's the chicken. We're getting a bit of colour, which is what we want. See those chunky pieces on the bone? I mean, that's what I visualised in the dish before I started. Alright, and I visualised. I don't follow the recipes too much anymore, and you know what? You don't need to. You don't need to follow the recipes anymore if you just start using this jarred idea. And there's a little secret ingredient I'm going to put in a second. I want zucchini. It's going to go in towards the end when the curry's nearly finished because zucchini cooks quickly. That's all you've got to keep in mind. And I visualise the size of the vegetables to be like that, mouth-sized pieces. You know, so I cut them. I didn't let the recipe tell me what to do. I cut them to the size I visualised for the dish. Same there. That's probably brown enough. Alright, so what I'm doing is I've smelt that. I'm familiar with it, and I've smelt that. And I've imagined their flavours together. They're going to go if I want to go that route. So I'm going to throw a bit of this in. That's going to be plenty, I reckon. Alright, turn the heat back up. When you're organised and you're not, filming what you're doing, you probably keep the heat up. Now I'm going to cook the spices in the pan because direct heat of the spices in the pan brings the flavours right out and wakes them up. Whether you're using a paste or just freshly ground spices, that's the way to do it apparently. Then I'm going to rub the meat. Shit. That's some flavour getting thrown back in there. So that's good. The heat's up. Pull over that. Veggies back in. Okay. Now for the magic ingredient. This is what's going to push any dish over the edge and give it restaurant quality results. What this is a stock. It's just chicken stock that I've been making today because I'm going to do chicken and corn soup, okay? But I'm going to pinch some of the stock out of here to put in there instead of just coconut milk or just water like the jar might say. I don't have to read the recipes anymore because I know what you've got to do. With all these jars, all you've got to do is put the jar in with either coconut milk or tomatoes or cream. Okay, so I don't need to read the jars. At the end of the day, all those jars are add your meat, your veggies and your paste with either cream or coconut cream or tomatoes. Okay, so I don't need to read them. That's it. That's all you've got to do. I don't know if I'm making this as simple as I thought I would, but I feel like I want one more scoop of stock, so I'm going to go and grab it. Oh shit. One more scoop. Okay. So another scoop of stock, because honestly, coconut cream is cream, it's rich, especially if you've got a good quality one. So if I was to go all coconut cream, I mean, you're going to end up with a rich result, and one meal of it might be enough and you might never want to eat it again. Whereas water, or better yet stock, which is just flavoured water from a chicken, is going to give you a more everyday, I can eat more of this kind of flavour. Okay, so there we are. That's just the spices, the vegetables and the stock. Before I add the cream, the coconut cream, I'm going to taste that. Tasting as we cook is really important. It tells us if we need more salt. It tells us in this case, have I put too much of this in or do I need more? I'd decide that after I put the coconut cream in though. I'm using organic coconut cream. And this stuff gets thick when you put it in the fridge, which means you can use it like cream because it's got that thick cream consistency if you refrigerate it. Okay, so we're tasting the dish now. And just remember, this is representation of any dish you like. That's plenty of paste, and you saw how much I put in, not much. On the back of the jar, I think they tell you to put 3 times that amount in. And it's just too much. I think I could have even put half of what I put in and it would have been fine. The less you put in, the more you can taste the actual ingredients instead of all those spices. Really important point. So to mellow it all down, the coconut cream. And it's just through experience and tasting that I find out if it's enough, you know. And I'm telling you, this is all they would do in the restaurants. We can do it at home, and with the prices they're wanting these days, I think we need to start thinking this way, don't we? If we want to eat exciting, or what do they call it, exotic food, we need to realise that we can cook it at home. Yeah, that taste is great. So I'm going to now simmer everything so they become cooked. You know, the pumpkin and the potato and all that cook, and the chicken. I'm going to turn the heat right down to low, throw a lid on it, and let that simmer. At the end, I'm going to thicken it a little bit with corn flour. I don't think I need any more stock, so I'll put that in the other pot. But and that's what I was going to say, because I'm off the booze. I have been for the last 6 weeks or so, pretty much. So because I'm off the booze, see, I've got that in case I want to add a little bit more depth of flavour. Because I'm off the booze, I'm not eating as much. So I'm seeking, I think, soups and stuff, more so of a night time at least. So what I'm making is a chicken and corn soup. And if you make your own stock, I'm telling you, if you make your own stock, and then you can freeze the stock in ice cube trays, and you throw ice cube stocks in dishes, gravies, soups, stews, curries. If you make your own stock, that is the magic ingredient to tasty, well-rounded, professional results in regards to homemade meals. And it's easy. When you break that down, what I've just said, it is easy. Vegetables, meat, a spoonful of that paste, the cream, and some stock. Taste it as you go, so you know if you want more cream or more stock. And I haven't salted that, so I'm going to salt that a little bit towards the end, and that's going to bring out even more flavour. But you've got to salt it and taste it. You need a little bit more salt until the salt maximises the flavour of the dish. But you don't want to oversalt. You've got to be careful. If you do oversalt, throw a little bit more cream or more stock in, and then thicken it. Boom, job done. And we're looking good. That's actually cooking too high, so I'm going to try and turn that down even more. I want a low simmer. So to get a lower simmer, I've turned it to the max, but then I've gone it towards the off position, and that's how you can get a setting even lower. See? Oh shit. Boom, that's all I want. We've just dropped the zucchini in, 15-20 minutes after we started cooking everything else. Strained my stock, ready for my chicken and corn soup, which I'll put a photo or video of on when I do it. There's the strained ingredients. What I did was I bought a whole organic chicken. I took off the legs and the wings and the breast and left the carcass. And that's what I used with one thigh that I'm going to take the meat off and put in the chicken and corn soup with the corn. So that's pretty much going to be it. What I'm going to do, when these vegetables are cooked, the chicken will be cooked too. I don't want to overcook anything. So I've tried to guesstimate, the sizes of the vegetables and the chicken, figuring that they will all cook at the same time. That's it. When that's cooked, I'm going to taste it. If it needs salt, I'm going to add it, or pepper. And I'm going to thicken it probably with corn flour and water, just a little bit. And that'll be it. Job done. So I won't go on. I just hope I've been able to convey the point to this video clearly enough. It's hard to get messages across clearly without, sounding confusing. So just remember, your own homemade stock is the way to go. And you want to taste it too. You don't want to just think you've made it. You've got to taste your stock to see if it's strong enough. And you might want to make it even stronger, so you don't need to freeze so much. And you make it stronger by reducing it, In case nobody knows, you can use arrowroot to thicken gravies and stuff. And what it does is it it doesn't give a milkiness. So if you do ever need a really clear result, arrowroot will do the job. If you do use corn flour, make sure you buy a maize corn flour, because it thickens a lot better than wheaten corn flours. Okay, just a little bit. We'll give it a stir. I'm going to turn the heat up to make this flour work. Everything's cooked now, so I'm thickening it at the end only. And you just got to picture, you know, how thick do you want it? I reckon that's what I want, because I want a fairly runny sauce to soak up in the rice. I don't want it to be too thick, because I'm going to be serving this with rice. Okay, so we want a bit of runniness. There we go, done. I've seasoned it with salt. I've seasoned it with salt and pepper to my tasting. A little bit by little bit taste, little bit by little bit taste. And it's all good now. All good. I did put a bit of that tamarind paste in. I did put a bit of this in because it's got a sour tone to it, and what that does is it takes away the typical yellow curry flavour. It adds just a little bit of, you know, a little bit of difference to it.